Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride, as always, is my great two co-hosts, Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How was your weekend, gentlemen?
Very good.
Mine was fantastic.
Yours was fantastic. All right, so as we already know, we got another week in the books, and as usual, or I don't even want to call it as usual, but the headless horseman is still on the loose. He's still chopping heads off. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more, but I guess the question is anyone going to take out the headless horseman, gentlemen? What do you think?
Remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I get my second chance in week 16, and it looks like that's going to be a very important game if things work out the way they're moving right now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing kicked off. We're going to go ahead and get started with our games. We've had some good games on the docket this week, and we are going to go ahead and see what we have. We're going to start off with the first game on the docket is Detroit went into Chicago, and they took it on the chin pretty hard, 52-21. We're going to start this one off with Dean.
Yeah, this is one of the few games that I predicted correctly last week, and Chicago did exactly what I thought they would do. They dominated and they won. They covered the spread. It's 79% passing by Sam Darnold, and you're rarely going to see the Cardinals lose when they have that kind of offensive performance, especially with the passing game.
Perfect, exactly. What do you got on this one, Mitch?
Well, when I see it, I definitely see that 79%, but 11 yards per average pass. It's one thing to be 79%, but 79% getting the ball down the field, pretty amazing. So, good stuff for Chicago.
Yeah, definitely. That was outstanding work by them. Next game, Atlanta going down to Washington and taking this one, riding in and riding out with a victory, 24-14. Mitch.
I tell you what, I just, it's amazing to see a team hold the ball for 40 minutes, hold their opponent to under 285 yards, and somehow lose by 10 points. But hey, Washington did that, so congratulations to Jerry and team. I'm anxious to hear what Dean has to say about this game.
Exactly. Go ahead, Dean.
Well, I'll give credit where credit is due. Mitch said last week if it rained, Washington was going to lose, and he was right. Yes, the Redskins did hold the ball from almost 41 minutes, 40 minutes and 58 seconds. I think what maybe made the difference was my defense played pretty well in this game, and the offense, despite the playing conditions, you think a team that normally plays in an indoor stadium goes and plays in a rain game like that is going to do poorly, but my offense managed to find a way to get it done, and it was primarily on the passing game.
Yeah, good job. Great job. All right, next one on the list, we have San Francisco going up against Green Bay, and San Francisco taking this one 24-21. We're going to start with you on this one, Dean.
Well, once again, I should have maybe known when I picked the 49ers to win and cover. They did win, but they didn't cover the spread. I think the spread was, what was it, 3.5 points or 4.5 points, something like that.
It was 4.
His win by 3 points. So many times I picked either 4 against Charlie's teams, and you can always count on them to either lose a game very close or win a game very close. And sometimes those spreads can be annoying, 3.5, 4.5, and the team doesn't get, the one additional point. And so it's just the way it is, I guess.
Yep. Mitch.
Good win. The 49ers over a tough Green Bay team, though.
And apparently Dak Prescott does not like throwing in the rain. 4 interceptions, but it was just a turnover fest. So, Charlie keeps it rolling. So, hey, congratulations.
Yep, definitely. Congratulations on that one. Next one. Here we go again. Anaheim goes into Seattle, and they took this one from the Seahawks 20-16. Mitch.
He got Dobbs, man. Joshua Dobbs continues his hot hand. He's got Anaheim over 500, I think, at this point, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I mean, it's still, they're on a roll. But hey, congratulations, Rams. I'm telling y'all, their offense just it travels. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yep. Dean.
Yeah, this is another game that surprised me. I had picked Seattle to win and cover this game, but yeah, it definitely it's 35 of 47, 74% by Joshua Dobbs, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Very solid performance. The Rams didn't run the ball a whole lot, but they sure did pass a whole lot.
Yes, they were winging the pig against me, and I still had to keep working on that defense and that secondary in the defense, and figure out where that is broken and trying to get that fixed. So I definitely have my work cut out for me. Next one on the list is New England going to Indianapolis and taking that one 28-3. Dean.
Yeah, another surprise. I had picked Indianapolis to win and cover the spread, but New England really came prepared to play this game and dominated, especially in offense. I mean, obviously the defense is very good. They only gave up a field goal. I don't know what happened with Indianapolis. They seem to underperform, at least underperform based on what we may have expected on both sides of the ball. And solid performance by New England overall. Very solid.
Yep, Mitch. What happened to your boy Josh Allen?
So apparently Kyle Allen is,
Yes, Kyle.
he was not I guess he wasn't ready to make it 3 weeks in a row. So, New England's 3-5, a quiet 3-5. So we'll see if they can keep it rolling in 2 weeks after they play Oakland.
Yeah, they are definitely flying under the radar. That's a good place to be. So, moving on to the next one, you have LA hosting Minnesota, and they took that one from Minnesota 27-10. Mitch.
I don't know what is going on in Minnesota, but this was almost like watching the Cowboys Minnesota game in the NFL. This LA, I don't know. I don't even know. I keep thinking Minnesota's about to turn that corner, and then they run into the wall. So, Dean, I'm curious to see what you got to say about it.
Yeah, I agree. Minnesota some weeks doesn't seem to show up, and other weeks they seem to be very good. And the Chargers have been kind of inconsistent too, and they maybe both of these teams are destined to finish like 8-8 or something in the season. But in this particular game, the Chargers came out ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what was happening on this one. I thought Minnesota was going to put up more of a challenge on this one, but it didn't seem as if they were putting up that much of a challenge. So interesting. Next game, the Headless Horseman rode into the Meadowlands again and walked away with a victory over last week's guest, Sean Hamilton, and his New York Giants. So we're going to start with you on this one, Dean. What about the Headless Horseman?
They're for real. I mean, I had really thought that you heard last week Sean said he'd been practicing against these profiles and he had the formula to get this done, and the result was another 21-point loss, just as the Headless Horseman won by 3 touchdowns the previous week. Um, I made a comment to Sean after watching the game. I said that what you see in practice against the Headless Horseman, they're much tougher in the real game, and they definitely showed it here.
Yes, indeed. Mitch.
Well, if Sean has the formula, apparently it was the formula for New Coke because it did not go over well when it got out in the public. But Hey, I can't say much. I got beat, I think, by the same amount of points too. So I'm just going to be quiet and let's move on to the next game.
I lost by 3, so I guess I'll take that victory. So, as we are starting to wind up the Week 8 games, here was the one of the good matchups that we had. We had Jacksonville going to New Orleans to take on the Saints, and they ended up taking this one in overtime, 41-38. We're going to start with, you know what? We'll start with you on this one, Mitch.
Well, I'll tell you what, the defense has stayed home. There was, 1,000 yards combined, I think, between the two teams. 40 was at 79 points. So definitely looked like an old whack college football game. But Captain Kirk led Jaguars to victory. So congratulations.
Definitely. I looked at that one and I definitely saw a good game, a close game. I did not expect to see that many yards put up and definitely not that many points. Dean.
Yeah, just about everything was even in this game. The time of possession, the yardage, as Mitch noted, 456 to 551. Interesting stat is the third down efficiency. Jacksonville 58%, the Saints 54%. So yeah, it really is true. The defenses didn't really show up in this game. It was close, and you'd expect a game that close to go into overtime, be won by a field goal, and that's what happened. And Jacksonville was the one lucky enough to be on the right side of that.
Yes, definitely. I agree. So as we head to the last game for the week, and we definitely discussed this, and we call this one the game of the week. I know some people. I don't know. We kind of went back and forth on who we think was going to take this one, but New York Jets went down to Oakland, and the Raiders showed up today. They went to on that day. Went into overtime and they took that game 27-21. We're going to start this one out with Dean, and then we're going to bounce it over to the coach. Dean.
Well, a few things. One, I've been razzing Mitch about proclaiming certain games to be lead pipe locks. I said last week, lead pipe lock, the Jets will win and cover the spread. And you see what happens. It seems like no matter who says those words, it's like jinxes the team.
So it's a curse now. So if we give you guys a lead pipe lock, you know you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's a curse. Yeah, I mean, Oakland is a very solid team, like I said last week, but, generally the Jets have been better. And they met the match in this game, and Oakland ended up winning this game in overtime. What do we have, 2 or 3 overtime games this week?
We had 2 this week.
So I think going forward, be aware of the tendency to want to call a game a lead pipe lock. It seems like it's a jinx. It seems like anytime you say those words, the other team is going to win. And not just if Mitch says, if I said it, any of us say it. It seems like those words are like putting a hex on the team or something.
So Oakland has a lead pipe lock next week, right? Mitch, go ahead and comment on your team. Go ahead.
I was giving Jerry some grief a little earlier about time of possession and all those sorts of things and losing by 10. I'm trying to figure out how I held the Jets to 38% passing, created 2 turnovers, held the 20% on third down, and yet had to go to overtime to win the game. I mean, how in the world? Oh man, alive! That was wild. But I think both myself and Thomas will say we both left some things on the field that we could have made this game go either way. But always good to get a win.
Definitely, that was a great game. Watching it from start to finish, that was an awesome game. So, as we finish wrapping up this week's games, running down through it pretty quickly, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is basically going over. We are at the halfway point in this season. Some teams that thought they were going to do well or started off real well, Seattle, ended up down in the basement, Seattle, and trying to figure out how they turn things around and end up pretty much stronger at the end of the game and hopefully get into the playoffs, Seattle. Anyway, so so we're going to start this one off with Dean, or actually you two just go ahead and kind of bounce it back and forth. We're going to start with Dean.
Yeah.
So where do you think the teams are at the halfway point in this season?
Well, I think in the AFC, I don't know if you want to call it a surprise, but we could certainly start with the Headless Horseman at 6-2. I don't think any of us expected, especially Denver was 2-2 after 4 weeks, and they have a 4-week winning streak. So I don't know if that was expected either. And it's a tough division. Look at the other teams, and I guess it should be considered a surprise that Minnesota and Seattle are 3-5. Would have expected those teams to be at least 4-4, maybe 5-3. The AFC East, not really surprised that the Jets are leading it at 6-2. Although you probably would have thought maybe they'd be 7-1, but 6-2 is still pretty solid. New England, I think you or Mitch said, was a quiet 3-5. They're quietly 3-5 in second place, and still has a shot at making the tournament at the end of the season. And NFC West, Chicago leading at 6-2, 5-3. San Francisco in second place, and they have a tie for third place. All those teams are 4-4. That division is looking pretty tough. NFC East, Washington is leading at 7-2. That's not a surprise. And after last season, maybe some thought that Detroit would be competitive, but they are starting off with a team loaded with rookies. So it looks maybe like the Giants and Falcons are kind of, at this point, competing for second place.
I agree with that. I thought Detroit was going to be further along. So, Mitch, your take on that?
Well, I'm looking at some of these teams that are, kind of in the hunt or on the fringe, and looking at their remaining schedule. And one team that's really kind of stands out to me that, they're 4-4 right now, but when you look at their second half schedule, they have a really good opportunity to finish with double-digit wins, if things go right, and that's Atlanta. So Dean, I'm looking at your team, and you look at your final 8 games here. 5 of your 8 games are against teams under 500, and I think 2 other games are with 500 teams, and so you definitely have an opportunity there to make some, to create some distance between yourself and obviously your Eastern Division opponents, but that Western Division, in the NFC, I think they're going to just cannibalize each other, and that's going to allow Atlanta, if Atlanta does what they should, are supposed to do, I think it's going to allow Atlanta to get at least a wild card while the NFC West cannibalizes itself. I think the one team that NFC West to look out for, I know I've mentioned their name a few different times throughout the year, and that's Anaheim. You look at Anaheim, second half of the season schedule, and they're playing. Their schedule a little tougher. They're 4-4, but when you look at their schedule, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 games with teams at 500, and then 2. So of 6 of their final 8 games are at teams 500 or better, but they've got 2 against San Francisco and 1 against Green Bay, the final 3 weeks of the season. I think that's going to determine who comes out of that NFC West as that second wild card. So this should be interesting because Anaheim is, I don't know, I'm not going to call them my dark horse, but I don't think that they have gotten the credit they deserve. That AFC right now, New England, like I said, they're that quiet 3-5, but man, they come out of the gate second half of the year. They've got murderers row coming out second half of the year. They play, what do you call it? 3 teams with well above 500 records to start the second half of the season. They play Oakland, New York, is in that mix, and then Denver. And so they come out the gates. If they can somehow come out of that 2-1, heck, even 1-2 out of that space. The rest of their schedule is against sub 500 teams, and so if the AFC West, if we continue to cannibalize ourselves, and New England can pull an upset against one of those three teams coming out the gate, and then take care of business against those other teams that are below 500. They could sneak into the playoffs too at around 8-8, depending on what happens in the AFC West. AFC West, oh my gosh! I mean, I look at my schedule and I go, ugh. I get Minnesota twice, LA twice. I get Denver again coming through, and so like I said, it's going to be like the old black and blue division of the NFC Central, coming there in that AFC West the second half of the year. But I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And hey, I think we're going to get multiple teams in the playoffs this year at 8-8. I would not be shocked with multiple teams, maybe even in both conferences, at 8-8 getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that with the competition, everyone's basically beating each other up, and there are some teams. I mean, I know that my team. I thought we had higher hopes. We started on a good foot, but hit that 4-game losing streak and still trying to snap out of that. So I think that's something else that can hopefully in the second half kind of work our way out of that. What's definitely surprised me is Denver. I think they're pretty much surprised everybody, thinking how can they go through and basically doing the damage that they're doing right now, and everyone's going to have to kind of step up. I mean, their playbook and profiles out there for everybody, and they're still slaughtering us left and right. So some games are close, others are just a blowout. What in this last remaining minutes that we have left, what do you think the prospect is for them to go deep into the playoffs? I know it's a crazy question to ask now, but right now it's looking more likely than not. Either one of you.
For Denver, I tell you, you look at the remaining schedule, right? And the remaining schedule, they're playing 3 teams under 500, and then a couple teams at 500. So the likelihood of them getting to 10 wins at least, I think, is very strong. I don't see them going, less than 4-4 the second half of the season, unless we all get really smart all of a sudden, right? And start beating that profile. And so, the playoffs is a different animal. I think everyone maybe puts a little bit extra energy into preparation, but we watched Carolina get to the Super Bowl just maybe 2-3 seasons ago, and so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And that's the thing. I think I said it on a couple of episodes ago when I had to play Denver. I hate playing these open teams because you put so much pressure on yourself thinking, I should kill these guys. And I think we overthink some things in our prep, and we end up getting beat, especially when they've got some really solid profiles, which obviously they do. But that's my thought.
All right, and a little bit the last minute of the segment, you have this one, Dean. Go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of things regarding Denver. I think I could see them easily winning 11 to 12 games and possibly winning one playoff game, and then probably, although who knows, but probably losing the AFC Championship game. I wanted to comment for a minute about Atlanta and Anaheim in the NFC. As we watch Joshua Dobbs lead the Anaheim offense and compete for a playoff spot, I'm definitely glad that I played them earlier in the season when they weren't playing as well, because I think that would be a much tougher matchup to play them during the second half of the season.
Maybe you get them in the playoffs.
Well, I'm glad I have a tiebreaker over them. if that's what down there, if it does.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, and one thing too, I didn't comment on Seattle, but look at Seattle here in this last few seconds. You have an opportunity based on your schedule. You can get this thing turned around in Seattle. You've got I think about half and half. Teams with 500 or better, and then teams that are under. So if you win the games you're supposed to, get an upset here or there, you're still in this. So don't give up hope yet there in Seattle.
Oh no, no, I'm not. Just got to go back to the drawing board and just keep plugging away. So not throwing in the towel. So as we come to wrap up that segment for the midweek, good segment there, guys. Really good information there. So as we come up to the last portion of the show, we're going to go through the week 9 games, and starting this one off, we're going to start off with the Redskins 10.5 over the Giants. We're going to start with you on this one, Mitch.
Oh gosh. Well, do we have a forecast for Washington before I make this call? If it's rain, I'm going to say Giants by 10. If it's clear skies, I say Redskins cover the spread. But yeah, I need a forecast though before I make this call. No, I think Redskins win. I don't know if they hold that spread. I think the Giants get really motivated when they're playing their NFC rivals and coming off that game against Denver. I know that Mr. Roll Sean's going to want to get some things rolling. So I don't know. What are you thinking, Dean?
Um, I agree with some of that, and I'm predicting this week that the weather is going to be pretty good in Washington. But I think there's some other dynamic going on here, and it's almost like the dynamic you and I had when my team was in the NFC West, and sometimes I play you tough and still manage to fall short. I think Sean has that kind of thing with Jerry. It seems like Jerry seems to always manage to win these games. So I'm picking the Redskins to win and cover the spread. I'm not going to utter those infamous words. Sean may want me to say them, but no, not going to say it. Not going to do it.
Okay, not going to do it. Not going to do it. All right, next game on the list, we have the 49ers going into this play the Saints. Saints have a 3.5 points. Dean, what do you think?
Well, it's 3.5 points, and we'll probably see 49ers win by 3 points. But no, I'm picking San Francisco. I'm picking Charlie's 49ers to win and cover the spread. It's going to be a tough, close game, but they may only win it by a touchdown or 5 or 6 points. But that's my pick.
Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. This game last week in the rain against Green Bay, it was just a slop fest. So it was tough to take anything away, really, from that game. And before that, the 49ers were playing very well. 49ers, I think, the cover. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay. Next one, we have the Cardinals going up against the Packers. They are giving the Cardinals 13.5 points. Dean.
If this was a 17.5 spread, what I said last week would apply, and I'd say that Chicago is not going to cover. It's 13.5. They can score 2 touchdowns and win, and I think that will happen. I think Chicago wins and covers the spread.
Okay, Mitch.
Well, if Dak Prescott, gets his glasses checked and doesn't throw 4 interceptions, they might be able to keep it under that spread for sure. I'm going to lean Cardinals. I'll lean Cardinals, but you know what? I think the Packers will play them tough. I think they'll keep it under that 13.5, but the Cardinals will get the victory.
Okay. Next one, Rams going up against the Lions. They are giving the Rams 4.5 points. We're going to start with you on this one, Mitch.
Ooh. Well, it depends on how motivated Dean is. Not Dean, I'm sorry. Not Dean. Oh my gosh, man. He's going to shoot me. But anyway, I think Anaheim is going to win this game and show James, not Dean, James, why Josh Dobbs is the front runner for MVP this year.
Okay, Mitch. I mean, Dean. I got. See, you got me. You got me pulling one. You got me doing you now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Dean,
Solid
go.
performance. Solid performance by Joshua Dobbs is what we're going to see here, and Rams will win and cover the spread.
Okay.
We're all doing our impression of Joe Biden tonight.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. All right. This one is a pick 'em. You have the Colts and the Jags. Dean, start us off.
Yeah, I'm looking for a rebound by Indianapolis this week, and even though they're on the road and winning this game, and it's a pick 'em, so we don't have to worry about the spread. Colts win.
Okay, Mitch.
I'm going to put it all in with Kyle Allen and say Colts win this game.
Okay.
He's not going to utter those infamous words.
He's not gonna utter those words. Okay. All right. Next one. Patriots going against the Raiders. And since the coach is on here on the show as well, we're gonna start Dean on this one again. Patriots and the Raiders, Dean.
I may regret this pick, but I'm going to have some faith that the Raiders offense is going to perform this week and score enough to cover that 9.5-point spread. But we'll see. That's my pick. I'm sticking with it.
Are you gonna utter those famous words?
No. I'm not going to do that to you, Mitch.
Okay, Mitch, go ahead.
Well, again, I'm waiting for the Weather Channel to give me a weather report to see what the weather's going to be in Oakland. But I will run with my team and say we'll come out and keep things rolling this week against the Patriots.
Okay. Next one, Jets and the Vikings. Jets are predicted at 10.5 over the Vikings. Mitch, we'll start off with you.
I keep thinking the real Vikings are going to show up. If they show up, they definitely will be able to beat that spread. I just don't know, so I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm going to go with the Jets this week.
Okay, Dean.
Yeah, I'm picking the Jets to win and cover the spread too. And I'm looking at my picks, and 7 of the games that have a spread, I'm picking the favorite team to win and cover the spread in all instances. I think we're going to see a week where the favorite teams do win and cover the spread this week in general. Might be an upset here and there, but I think this is going to be a low percentage of upset kind of week.
Okay. Next one, the Seahawks going against the Falcons. The host going against the host. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to start with you on this one, Mitch, and then we're going to bounce it over to Atlanta's coach. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, this is going to make it fun.
You can say those famous words and use them against that team down south.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to hold off on that. And being that the Falcons have found a way to win the last, I think, couple of games, I don't even think they've run 40 plays in 2 games. I think they find a way to win, but I don't think they're going to cover the spread.
Okay, Dean, what's your team going to do this week?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's always an open question with a 4-4 team. We're going to see the Falcons that beat Anaheim and New England earlier this season, or we're going to see the team that lost to the Chargers and 49ers? That's a very good question. But I made my pick out of optimism and said that the favorite team covers, although my teams generally don't perform well when they're favored. So predicting Falcons win and cover.
All right, this one.
What do you think? What do you think, host? How's this game going to go?
Well, I think that if the secondary for Seattle decides to show up this week, I think we'll definitely have a chance. The offense is doing everything they can on their end. It's just that the defense on the back end, they got to be able to learn how to cover their guys. As an organization, we got to definitely take a look at that stuff on the defensive side. I'm gonna protect. I'm rooting for my team, and usually when we're the underdogs, we usually put up a good showing and kind of steal a couple of them. So I'm gonna go for the Hawks on this one.
I'll give you a tip there, Coach. Atlanta averaged over 13 yards a pass with only 16 passes last week. So just kind of tell your secondary about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we'll just have 11 players in the secondary on the field. Someone's bound to do something right. So, all right, and we're gonna wrap this last one up against the Chargers, going to go play the Headless Horseman up in the mountains. Dean, we're gonna start this one off with you.
I'm surprised this is a pick 'em and not like a 3.5 or 4.5 in favor of the Headless Horseman. Oh, I'm definitely picking Denver on this one. I'm going to continue picking Denver until someone proves otherwise.
That sounds about right. So, Mitch, what do you think?
Lead pipe lock. Are you ready?
Who you giving that to?
Chargers lead pipe this week. They take down the Horsemen.
Oh, you
Oh,
just guaranteed that Denver wins. You just guaranteed
yeah,
that.
you just guaranteed that one. You know that. You know what you did. Oh, So if you guys ever see someone put an LPL beside you, you know what's going to happen. So, all righty. So we are wrapping up. Do what?
Simply, that's what that means.
That's exactly what it means. It's exactly what it means. So he knows. He's putting the hex on the Chargers. My
Hey,
goodness.
I need Denver to lose. They're a game ahead.
There you go. All right, guys, we're coming to wrap this segment up here. We know that the holiday season is coming up, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing cranked out.
Chargers. You should have put that LPL on the Chargers.
Yeah, he should have.
Denver, rather.
Yeah, he should have put on Denver. Put that LPL on Denver. So
I'm trusting Steve to come through. He's going to be like Scooby-Doo taking down the Headless Horse.
if it wasn't for those meddling kids on the other side.
That's right. That's right.
All right. As we come to wrap this up, it is going into the holiday season. So for myself, and I think I speak for the two great co-hosts here, wishing you guys to have a safe and happy holiday season and Thanksgiving Day and the weekend after. Anything that you guys have over there? We're going to start off with you, Dean.
I just say that if you're all lucky, you're going to be eating some really good pumpkin cheesecake on Thursday for dessert.
There you go. Mitch, you want to say anything and then send us on out the door?
I'm looking forward to eating some ham and dressing and all the fixings while watching some great PNL football. So let's get it.